Ahoy there! It's Spooky Day, which means... Oh no.
Huh? Oh.
Well, I knew spooky stuff was gonna happen one way or another, but because it's Halloween, you know what that means?
All Saints' Day is tomorrow!
No. It means that demon season's open. What better way is there to excise these creatures from hell than by filling them full of lead? So on this spooky day, we'll be taking a look at a doubleheader of demon hunting from 2004, Painkiller and Doom 3. One thing's for certain, there will be jibs. We start our round of demon hunting with Painkiller, developed by People Can Fly and published by Dreamcatcher in April of 2004. We'll be running it on the unassuming XP PC, so apologies in advance for any CRT flicker. The story goes that your badly voiced protagonist, voiced by Cam Clark, dies in a car accident and is stuck in purgatory. Now you're offered a deal. Kill an army of demons, ghouls, and other freaks sent by Lucifer, and go to heaven. This game is actually the first effort of the Polish studio People Can Fly, whose origin story echoes that of the development of Serious Sam 3 years prior. By that, I mean their first big effort was a horde shooter that takes inspiration from games like Serious Sam, as well as the original Quake and Doom. It also plays similarly to a first-person take on games like Robotron 2084 and Smash TV. You run around, shoot everything that moves, and try not to get hit. When all the enemies in the area are dead, you move on to the next area, rinse, and repeat. And just like the aforementioned Serious Sam, you must master old-school advanced movement to survive the waves of enemies. No sprinting, no grappling hooks, no wall running. You must learn good old-fashioned circle-strafing and bunny hopping.
Now, unlike most Quake engine derivatives, all you have to do to B-hop in this game is just spam jump. Then you'll be jumping faster than you can walk.
What good is all that movement if there's nothing to kill baddies with? You start out with a basic melee weapon called Painkiller, which can saw through enemies and has an alt-fire that latches onto whatever surface or creature it touches. It's useful for saving ammo, and Painkiller's alt-fire can be bound to a key all by itself just for that purpose. Then there's your double-barreled shotgun, a standard video game firearm for clearing out enemies in close quarters, and great for launching corpses like a pumpkin shot out of a cannon. Then there's this crossbow-like weapon that launches wood stakes, which requires some skill to land the perfect shot due to its projectile drop-off. It also comes with a bonus of stapling enemies to the wall for an extra ounce of mid-2000s overkill. So far in my only playthrough of the game, those are the only weapons I've encountered, but I'm sure there's more in the later chapters of the game. What I haven't gotten to experience are tarot cards. Bonuses that are challenging to unlock but offer kickers to your gameplay in short bursts. And speaking of kickers, you should be collecting every enemy soul you can. Once you collect 60, your soul counter turns red. After 63, it makes you start experiencing vision changes. But 66 turns you into a beast for a short time. You're invincible, time slows down, your vision is in black and white, enemies are clearly visible, and anything you shoot in your crosshair will be insta-jibbed regardless of what enemy type it is. It is so satisfying. The game has tons of different enemies to frag, from skeleton warriors to Japanese ghouls to insane asylum freak shows. They all have their own behaviors and quirks, but most, if not all of them, can be killed with your weapons. They can also infight with each other, saving you some of your ammo if you play your cards right. There's also a healthy selection of mini-bosses and full bosses, some of which can't be killed with your weapons. The game also has multiplayer, which was briefly featured in the late Cyber Athlete Professional League, but it was only because Unreal Tournament 2004 wasn't available due to Epic Games switching publishers at the time. Doom 3 was also a fan favorite snubbed in the 2005 World Tour, but I'll get to that soon. But seeing as this is a game from 2004, I would not be surprised if the multiplayer does not work. I can't test that because I never installed the network drivers on the unassuming XP computer because, well, I didn't really need to. Painkiller isn't a bad time if you're into these kinds of FPS games, especially with more modern titles like Ultra Kill and the Killing Floor series. People Can Fly are still around today, but they nearly went bust in 2006, leading to an acquisition by Epic Games. They'd later release Bulletstorm in 2011, but it was a commercial failure for both Epic and the Polish developer. After having their original studio name scrubbed away in 2013, the developers would free themselves in 2015, becoming independent again.
Happy ending, as if we needed another reason to piss on Epic. Painkiller is a decent game, but it actually had a couple expansions like Battle Out of Hell, Overdose, Resurrection, Redemption, and Recurring Evil, although the first one was only made by People Can Fly. The rest were made by others. None of these expansions made their way to the Xbox console port, however. Thing is, 2004 was a stacked year for games. There were so many great ones out there, and Painkiller would soon be overshadowed by its demon-hunting inspiration.
As much as I liked Painkiller, I didn't think it was spooky enough. We're about to change that with Doom 3, released back in August of 2004, developed by id Software and published by Activision. This time we'll be moving back to my main PC thanks to the power of the Doom 3 source port. It means you get to witness a game running on a machine far more capable than anything by 2004 standards. And I mean it. Along with Crisis and Fear, Doom 3 was an amazing graphical achievement for its time. But not even the most powerful gaming PC of the time could run the game at its highest settings, requiring over 500 megabytes of video memory to run at ultra settings. But hey, a 6GB GTX 1660 Super will run this game comfortably, at least with all the patches the Doom 3 source port provides. It even ran well at Ultra on the unassuming XP PC without the patches when I finished it. This means you get to witness some classic demon-slaying action. Oh, who am I kidding? You know by now that Doom 3 doesn't share much with its classic counterparts. I mean, you still get to shoot demons in the face, but it's not like the frantic circle-strafing of old. And for this segment, I'll be continuing on from where I left off on my first playthrough so I can keep myself surprised. Compared to the original two games, Doom 3 leans heavier into horror elements. This does mean the occasional jump scare, especially when an imp ambushes you. It's also really, really dark, as in, you can barely see in front of you at times. That's just a side effect of id Tech 4's fancy real-time lighting, with some impressive shading and shadows, but also with some of the darkest dark spots. Global illumination wasn't a thing at the time, meaning that light couldn't bounce all over the place. You are armed with a flashlight, but you have to swap back and forth between it. There were many criticisms of the sheer darkness and the inability to use a gun and a flashlight at the same time. But as the years passed, that quirk is not as game-breaking as some claimed it to be. It's still irritating, mind you, but I argue that it adds to the tension and the uncertainty. You never know what could be lurking beyond the— Ah, you stupid imps! Being the silent space marine that you are, you eventually get armed to the teeth with weapons to kill every zombie and demon that you can see, provided it's not pitch black. The pistol, basic firepower that's better than nothing. The shotgun, a close-quarters expert that's hampered by random spread. The machine gun, an assault rifle that reliably guns down foes but you need to keep a full mag at all times. The chain gun, a beefier machine gun that chews up ammo faster. The rocket launcher, makes things go boom but doesn't hold much ammo. The plasma rifle, which shoots slow projectiles but tears through pretty much anything. Grenades, explosives that you can't throw more than 10 feet and are a waste of a weapon slot. The chainsaw, the strongest melee weapon that's used to save a few bullets. And the BFG 9000, a big f***ing gun that I haven't gotten to use since I haven't killed Sabaoth yet. Then there's the Soul Cube, which you don't get until later, but you can use it every 5 kills and then unleash it to tear up your enemies in the area for a couple seconds and regain health while doing so. As fodder for your weapons, most of the demons and creeps from the past 2 Doom games return. These include critters like the Imps, the Cacodemons, zombies, Archviles, and the Mancubus. New nasties include things like the Trites, nasty spidery bastards, Cherubs, freaky baby things that are half insect, and Commando Zombies, buff zombies with stall helms, a tentacle arm, and a boot I'd love to insert into your ass. They can also be the chain gun variety, melting your health with surprising accuracy. But as a Doom game, it's more of a Doom game in name only. Combat is much more slow and methodical. It again focuses on horror and storytelling, trying to keep the players second-guessing themselves, as well as trying to make them crap their pants. And when you're not killing demons or changing your underwear, you're spending time slowly trudging through repetitive hallways, swapping your flashlight back and forth so you don't go blind. Unlike Painkiller, Doom Guy's movement is decidedly limited. You can sprint, but it's not unlimited, most of the time. And it's not going to help you evade demons. He also jumps as high as I can in real life, but that could be attributed to the gravity on Mars, or in Hell. Then there's the multiplayer. Keep in mind that id's last release before this game was Quake 3 Arena, which was all about the multiplayer. By comparison, Doom 3's multiplayer was an afterthought, only allowing up to 4 players at launch. The 1.3.1 patch officially increased this limit to 8 players, but by then they could already mod the game to have twice than the officially supported limit. And no surprise, no one's playing it. Warts and all, I think Doom 3 has held up surprisingly well over 19 years, and damn, that makes me feel old. It's a game that looks and feels relatively modern, with its own hellish atmosphere. The visuals have held up so well that id didn't have to do much to the visuals when they released BFG Edition in 2012. Speaking of which, I'd recommend avoiding BFG Edition, because the changes that id did make were to 8-year-old criticisms. It added an armor-mounted flashlight, but reviewers noted that it, quote, ruined the atmosphere of the original version. Us humans are so unpredictable at times. If you want to find this game, there's the original 3-disc box like what I have, and then there's also the Steam release which gives you both the original Doom 3 and BFG Edition so you can compare the two versions for yourself. It also gives you the game's one expansion pack, Resurrection of Evil, released in 2005 and developed by Nerve Software. Also worth checking out is the port for the original Xbox, which is a technical marvel on a system that's the equivalent of a gaming PC from 2000. There's a video by Modern Vintage Gamer on the port, and I highly recommend watching it. Links are in the description. And if you're even more technologically inclined than me, the game engine was open sourced in 2011, and the BFG Edition branch went open source the following year. Now, it couldn't hold a candle to the rise of Unreal Engine in the 7th console generation, but there are definitely some cool games out there using this engine, mostly by Blendo Games, with most of the proprietary licensed stuff going full circle to Bethesda, and by association, Microsoft. Yikes. That story did not have a happy ending to it, especially when you take into consideration that the original game's publisher is now also a part of Microsoft. But you know what, I think I have more than enough complaints from Halo Infinite to piss at Microsoft than most of what Bethesda and id put out under their umbrella. But Doom 3 had a much larger impact in 2004 than the freshman outing of Painkiller. Doom 3 would be the most talked about shooter of the half-decade, for better or worse. At least until the releases of both Half-Life 2 and Halo 2 next year. Whew. Looks like the demonic possession has left the building. Anyways, that was a doubleheader of demon hunting from 2004 for the PC. And maybe the Xbox. Have you ever played either of these games? Which of these left a bigger impact in your opinion? And who's worse, Epic or Microsoft? Let me know in the comments. Until next time, happy friggin' Halloween! This is Squiddy the Kid signing off. Oh, one more thing. Turns out imps are only worth 2 points when zombies and skeleton warriors are worth 5. Nothing makes sense in this world.